Orlovsky thing, and like Chase Daniel has the same opinion, and that shows you that those guys are so stupid and wrong all the time, and just like bad faith actors. And like obviously, like to me, it's like I'll save it, but like to me, it's just such like an attempt to like cut through like all the media static and just get like attention and clicks and shit. And like I think that maybe he partially believes that, but I do think he's mainly motivated to just like stand out and be a contrarian.
Yeah,
maybe his ESPN contract is coming up or something.
Yeah, I think he's just a dumbass. I think he's just a numbskull. People brought attention to the fact that Ty Simpson and him have the same sports agency, but I genuinely don't think it's anything to do with that. I think he is just a moron and like he just wants to be contrarian and wants to just not even necessarily for like some sort of sinister underhanded reason. He's just annoying. He's just an annoying idiot, I think is what it boils down to.
Well, he's just, I think he's like leaning, he's like leaning into the role of being like the dunce. Like he's expected to have takes like that, so he's manufacturing one. And a down year for the draft. Like this isn't like, there's not a lot of like hyped up talent or like, you know, like generational players that are on both sides of the ball. So they have to kind of like, you're in the dead air period where you have to like make shit up to hold people's attention because I mean, like, yeah, he drops his take in the middle of the NCAA basketball tournament, right? Like he's just like farming attention because that's what he's been reduced to.
Let's get right into it. 4 takeaways, folks. Welcome in. We're live.
Hey,
Kick the Snake. Tony Ballgame.
Hello.
So Dan Orlovsky, former NFL quarterback this week,
he once ran out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, who got a safety because he doesn't know the rules. And it gets replayed every time a safety happens to the NFL, so it probably just sucks for him. But he came out and said that he believes that Ty Simpson of Alabama is the top quarterback draft, not Fernando Mendoza. And it came up that they have the same agency. They're both represented by CAA. And some people were trying to connect the dots there, but I genuinely think that Jan Orlovsky is just sort of a bird brain who likes to get people riled up and he's one of these people that he really likes going over film, and he does all these film breakdown stuff. And I think guys like him just get so lost in the sauce of film review that they're just convinced that they're just sitting in a dark room by themselves for hours and hours and just convince themselves of these outrageous ideas. And he let go this opinion out in the world. Everyone freaked out, so much so that he had to go on the Pat McAfee show and defend himself. And McAfee and his little frat boy co-hosts, I mean, it was like watching like a bully video, like watching a guy watching someone, like videos of school kids fighting, because they're both former players. Pat McAfee and Dan Orlovsky were probably in the league at the same time. I don't know how much.
Yeah, they might have been on the Colts at the same time.
I'm not sure if Orlovsky, was he ever with the Colts?
I believe so.
Sure, but they're definitely in the NFL at the same time at some point. So they're both kind of trying to do the like, hey man, come on, bro. They were calling each other dude and man and bro a lot. And Dan Orlovsky he's live from his own car in the like parking lot, and I'm thinking like, okay, this is the worldwide leader in sports, $1 billion company. You can't find an empty room to do this from. He's just like in his car, like some like random blogger guy. And then at one point it's like so stupid. At one point a freaking like alarm is like some little dinging is going on in his car, like his lights are on or something, and it's going like bing, 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 bing. And McAfee's like in the middle of while Pat McAfee's talking, and he kind of says something like, yeah, I think your church signal might be on there, buddy. It was embarrassing. It's like, it has to be bad.
I fucking hate McAfee, but that's so funny.
It is really, he was funny, dude. Like he can be funny sometimes. And I was gonna say that's how you know it's bad. I'm like cheering on, rooting for Pat McAfee because I mean this is just a battle of just a true meeting of the minds. And he mops the floor with him. He owns it. He tries saying McAfee's saying like, you know, we watched him play in all these big games, and Dan Orlovsky goes, "What big games?" And he tries being like
Rose Bowl.
Oh, in the Big Ten championship, they were down 16-3 or whatever at a certain point, and in the national championship, they were trailing in the third quarter. Blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, they won the games though. And he made like spectacular plays that we all saw and all remember. And it's just
Fernando Mendoza is really good. It's like
you could,
I'm in like a casual like when it comes to like I don't know, like the nuances of quarterback play. I'm a pretty casual dude, like fan. And I remember watching Fernando Mendoza like for the first time at the end of Indiana's season and being like, oh yeah, this guy's really fucking good. Like it was like the first drive, which they ended up punting on, but he was still like making NFL level throws like under pressure, and it was really fucking impressive. Like there was a clear there's a distance between him and everybody else in the NCAA that plays quarterback.
Yeah.
Right now.
And it's not to say that the Alabama guy is bad or anything. It's just like Fernando Mendoza is so clearly the top quarterback. Maybe in another draft he wouldn't be, but come on.
It's sad because like Orlovsky is like clearly like I think there's a 50% chance he actually believed this and a 50% chance that he's just like making something up to get attention. And then he gets to go on the McAfee show and like, you know, look like an asshole, but he's a media guy now, so he's getting airtime, and that's like the most important thing for a media guy is to have a take worthy of airtime, even if it's like really fucking stupid and embarrassing. And I also want to say, like, reserve a little space for the thought that maybe like ESPN executives are like, well, Dan's a fucking idiot. Let's make him say this because we need someone to have like a really bad hardline opinion that they're loud about to get us clicks and attention and draw like attention away from other things right now and give it to ESPN because every sports fan is watching fucking True TV or the whatever Turner network the NCAA tournament is on, and baseball starts on Netflix, you know, in a couple of days. So like, but we need a share of this market. So maybe we can have our like in-house dullard get in his car and yell on Pat McAfee. And then like that'll like, you know, generate a lot of press and like we'll get traffic to our website because it's a take that is so bad and like such an embarrassing conversation to have on like a popular sports show that it's going to drive traffic our way. Like I do think that sports media is that cynical.
That's what I was about to say. Is that everything you're saying? That all sounds very cynical, but that's what it's come to. There's like little to no journalism going on that network. So this is what it's been reduced to: is just guys coming up with purposely inflammatory opinions and then yelling about it. And that's
in their car
ecosystem. In their car.
Maybe his car was in his garage. Maybe he was running it in his garage, but like not trying to kill himself. He's just so stupid. Like he like had to film this in his garage because his like wife has like had a migraine, and he's like, "Oh, it's hot in here, so I got to turn on the AC." But he's turned on the entire engine.
It looked, to be fair, it did look like he was outside. It looked like he was probably in the parking lot of ESPN.
That's like it'd be less embarrassing to do it in like the bathroom. Then like they make you go to your car. Like, Dan, no one wants to hear this shit. Will you do this in your fucking car, please?
Yeah, that was one of my first impressions. Is like, how much money are they giving this guy?
And he has to do this in his car.
Both of them, really, to be like, yeah, just I don't know.
Was he in his suit in his car?
No, he was wearing normal clothes.
Okay. Yeah, that guy sucks. Remember when he outed himself as like a really bad husband? He's like, I never wash my towel. And it's like, yeah, because your like wife does everything at the house. Like you're like, well, I worked at like, you know, I had a 12-hour day yesterday, and all you did was sit in a room, like watch film. And it's like you don't help with like your kids or anything, you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah, the towel thing that changed my opinion about him forever.
Also, yes, they did 2011. They were both on the Colts,
Oh wow, I
so they
didn't
are
realize he
former
was ever,
teammates.
didn't realize he was ever on the Colts. That's interesting. It's an interesting little wrinkle because they definitely you
Because it
could
was
tell they
post
had a bit of
Manning.
a they had a bit of
Um,
a familiarity with each other. You could tell they were speaking to each other as they like weren't letting the other one big dog the other one. Like they were trying to be equals, which they are. But it was just fascinating to witness.
hey, what if sports news was like pro wrestling, and then this guy that does a lot of cocaine and steroids,
Yeah, can you
um,
imagine?
gets a really red face, and he doesn't sit in a chair. He stands the whole time. That's it, groundbreaking for on air like sports media. A guy that just stands behind the desk. He's not going to sit. He's going to stand, and then he has a little gallery of chuckle fuckers.
Yeah,
How
he
does that
got
sound to
he,
you?
he got he got owned. I mean, it was bad. And you could tell by the end of it, he was so frustrated and was like just waiting for it to be over, like holding his hand in his face, like tapping his leg, like just wanting it to be done. He just wasn't not responding anymore. And they were kind of like, yeah, he's a jack off.
He's
We're
so
talking
bad at
about
confrontation too. Like he's bad at
Levant.
that. Every time he goes on Stephen A. Smith's show, he like gets absolutely pantsed, and like his face gets all red. It's really funny.
Real quick, I
But
want to
I'm
talk
sorry.
about Lavonte David retiring. Sort of, I'm not sure if that was like expected or what, but sort of surprised
Forever a
me. He
Buccaneer.
forever a Buck. Played his entire 14-year career with Tampa Bay. Never missed more than like 3 or 4 games ever in a season, and was pretty solid his entire career. Like he never really had like a total complete drop off. Made a surprise to just looking at his like career entire altogether. Kind of surprised he only had one All Pro and one Pro Bowl, considering how well regarded he is. But he is, now that it's all said and done, he is fourth all time in the NFL in tackles and tackles for loss, which is pretty impressive. There's a lot of Hall of Famers near or future Hall of Famers near his name on some of those lists. So
Yeah, he'll be like one of those like down year, like his like fourth or fifth year of eligibility. They
yeah,
sneak him into a class, and I was like, oh yeah, LeBron, he was good. Like fuck, and then I'll be like, fuck, I'm fucking old. I'm 42. Jesus.
yeah, I don't think he's not necessarily first ballot, but having the Super Bowl on the resume is pretty good, and yeah, pretty impressive. Just looking
Yeah,
at who
good for
else is
him.
on the ahead. The only three guys ahead of him on the tackles for loss list are Terrell Suggs, Calais Campbell, and J.J. Watt.
Also, like,
Pretty.
great. Like, you're an all-time Buccaneer like that. You probably stay in the Tampa area. You retire, and then your whole life is just fishing and fucking. That's a good
Cigars,
deal,
yeah.
man. That is a good deal. Sunshine, fishing, and fucking. That'd be a good T-shirt.
Not a bad way to go out.
Not at all. Good for him. Um,
Um,
have you heard about Puka Nakua?
yes, that's the next thing we gotta do.
Okay.
This might be a really
Yeah.
fast episode.
Um,
'Cause it-
Puka Nakua is he is currently having to deny allegations once again. This time that he bit a woman and made anti-Semitic remarks.
again,
And yeah, it's pretty tough when you're having to deny being an anti-Semite all the time. But that's a touchy subject right now, because anybody can be accused of being anti-Semitic for whatever reason. It seems, depending on who is saying what. At the same time, like I don't hang out with like weird like white nationalist streamers like he does, and like you know manosphere like misogynist guys aren't my friends, and I don't go on their shows and talk about stuff and like say CTE and concussions aren't real,
an
and like
asshole.
what just like an off the field fall from grace this guy has had. Like a year or two ago he was such a cool and exciting player. Like he's like a well-built dude that plays way bigger and stronger than he looks, and like he's been even though he plays for the Rams, who to me are becoming like the Dodgers of the NFL, unfortunately. And like I don't know. He was just like a refreshing and exciting presence in a league that like was kind of transitioning from like one generation to the next of like, like the elite names at a position group.
Right.
And like he's kind of towards the top of this new generation, atop the list of names. And like, yeah, he's like fun, exciting guy to watch, but he's so dumb and such a bad guy and just says awful shit all the time that like I can't separate an art from an artist when it comes to this shit. Like if I know like a football player is like a dumb piece of shit and like has like bad opinions and like dislikes large groups of people for whatever reason, I can't root for him anymore. It ruins it for me.
Yeah. It's
And
frustrating. And it all seems pretty. This is all in the last really like calendar year. This has all happened, and he's been in the league for like a few years, and there was no incidents. And then, really suddenly, he was going on
he's
David
biting women
Ross,
and
biting the ladies, and now his lawyer came out and like denied the anti-Semitism remarks, but sort of conceded that he did bite the lady, but that it wasn't that hard, which is like pretty much just being like the
It's
bite
not
was
funny.
it's overplayed how much the bite was damaged. It was a playful act. Like it's just
Yeah.
pathetic.
It's like when a cat bites you, Like it's a sign of annoyance, but also respect because he could have broken skin had he wanted to.
I mean, when you're dealing with a Mormon with CTE, you're gonna get bit if you get too close to him. It's like, that's maybe he's like victim blaming. Like she should have known better to be around.
Yeah, that's true.
In an enclosed space. Did she make a loud noise? Okay, did she make a sudden movement? It's like how people talk about having to being around cops like they're bears or something. Like it's the onus is on you to act accordingly because they're
like, yeah, well, did you
responsible for their
spook
own
him?
actions.
Did you get real big and spook him? Of course he's gonna shoot you.
Did you step on a crinkly bag or something and got him freaked out? Then yeah, he's gonna bite you. Okay, you gotta be careful.
I watched a movie last night where a cop shot a guy he thought had a gun, but it was actually a baby. And I was like, ugh, like this is just too like it's too on the nose. I gotta turn this off. It was like a horror movie too. And I was like, I can't watch this.
What was it? What movie was that?
It's called Body Cam. It's like a horror movie, and I was like, I've turned it on because it's like it's supposed to be cool because it's like filmed from their body cams, so like two different perspectives, like the whole movie, and like they uncover this weird like satanic cult, and like there's all this creepy supernatural like bloodletting shit.
Oh.
I was like, oh, this sounds cool because like these cops are gonna get torn limb from limb. I want to watch that. And no, it's just a cop shooting a baby where it's like, man, this just sucks.
Oh.
This is just like watching the news.
Yeah, we don't want that. I wonder if this is to get back to Puka real quick. Like, at what point will the Rams? I mean, he's unfortunately he is so good that they might be willing to overlook it. But at what point will they be like, we're not? You're kind of hurting your. First of all, what's his name just got the huge contract, so people were like, Puka Nacua next. But now it's like, do you really want to give this guy like a close to market changing contract when he's making an ass of himself pretty much like every 6 to 8 weeks? I don't know if that's worth it.
Yeah, I think he still probably gets it. I think they probably give him like $2 million more than JSN. Like he'll get 170. Just as like a weird fuck you. And because that's also the market. Like if he goes out and has like a 1,600 yard season with like 14 touchdowns, they're gonna have to give that to him. Like it just is what it is. And like if you hit a certain like level of production, they'll overlook everything, especially if they win a Super Bowl and like he's like has to get a Cooper Cup season. They'll absolutely overlook that. They're like, hey, just next time you bite someone, call our fixer and he'll just shoot her.
Jesus.
Let's talk about this contract real quick. 168 mil for Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Right.
How many years? I've only seen the number. Let's see here. Oh, it's a 4-year, $168 million contract. Hey, that's a lot of cabbage for 4 years. And As an annual average value of $42.15 million. That's pretty good money. That's like more than Adam Sandler makes per movie.
He earned it.
He earned every penny by them getting rid of DK Metcalf. He had a lucky break because like they get rid of DK Metcalf and like he has like a year or two to develop, and like learn the system, sharp, like get a little crisper at running routes, like balls out, wins the Super Bowl, gets all that money. That's cool. What would you do with $168 million? I wouldn't change shit about my life except I would buy a house. That's it. I would buy a house and then I would just put the rest in like bonds and accounts and live off the interest. And then I'd have like a trust for my daughter and then like give some money to some charities.
I'd probably travel way like I'd probably spend like a year
Traveling?
Jet setting, yeah.
You see, I don't like leaving the house anymore. I've developed agoraphobia because I work at home. And like I feel like every time I leave the house, it's like a car is smashing into my truck because they ran a red light, or like I'm falling and breaking my head open. So it's like maybe I should just stay in my house and bad things don't happen in here. So I'm going crazy.
You're a little justified to be a little freaked out.
Yeah, when you live in Glendale, Arizona, it's like maybe it's not worth. I would buy a house not in the state, and then just like my family and I would move and just hang out.
Hopefully that all chills out for you soon. Good Lord.
I think it's just going to continue to escalate until I just die.
Don't say that.
I mean, I'm just being
You're
realistic.
Never gonna die.
Like, thank you. I needed to hear that today.
You never know. You never know who needs to hear that. Who needs to hear that? They're
seriously. I'd probably go to every MLB stadium.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Abroad.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not because I don't want to, but like, my passport expired, so it's gonna be hard for me to get a new one. I have to like fill out all the paperwork and like.
We just did that. I was applying for mine for the first time, but Mary renewed her passport, and it's not as hard as you think. It just takes a while for them to get it to you, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, I just don't know, and it's like, I don't know if I'm a big travel guy anymore. I used to be. I used to like yearn for travel, even just like, driving to some weird fucking city in Iowa to do comedy for 2 nights. I ate it up, but
it's still good to have. It's still just a good document to have in case you need it. Do you want to talk about
I'd get a big pool and
just
sit by that
the
sucker.
Flag football little tournament that went on. I completely missed that until I was looking at stuff this morning. Tom Brady played. Odell Beckham played.
Yeah, Tom Brady's out there playing and just like talking shit about everyone's wife and stuff, and like, all right, dude, you're clearly compensating for some feelings.
I think. I don't know if you have anything. I'm not sure if there's anything that mattered that really happened in that game besides Tom Brady looking kind of good. But I don't think, because the whole thing is that they're trying to practice, they're trying to bring awareness and all that for it being featured in the Olympics, flag football. But I don't think it's that good of an idea to have either current or former NFL players on playing that game. I think it's a completely different sport. I think we might have to have guys you've never heard of, like weird little shifty guys, because it's a different skill set that's needed for that game. I mean, maybe you have one or two. You have like an Odell Beckham. Maybe you do have like somebody, Wes Welker or something like that. But I think when the Olympics come and we're watching that, it's gonna be guys you've never heard of that have wholly different skill sets than NFL players.
Yeah, it's like guys that were on the dance team in high school.
Yeah, for real though.
Yes, yeah. Like fast, shifty little guys with tiny waists.
Like the dancers, like a dancer's physique.
Like, have you ever seen a picture of like a male ballerina from like the 50s, and like they're all jacked and like, but they have tiny waists? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like guys like
That's
that.
What we need. Like
That's what we need. We need like ripped twinks to go out there and represent our country.
Mime build is that's the meta.
I'm just like,
mime.
every time an NFL player is like, yeah, just an opportunity to go out there and represent our country. It's like, why do people keep fucking saying that? It's like the dumbest sentence you could say. And it's really, and I know these guys are just athletes and like they kind of have to say that because, you know, you got to pander to the dumbest person when you want money. But like, I could live without having to hear that shit all the time. What do you want to represent about this? What exactly about this country are you excited to represent? I think that if anyone with any kind of journalistic integrity should immediately ask that follow-up question.
And get their press pass revoked.
Bari Weiss's wife was caught getting chummy with Epstein.
I'm shocked. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the biggest stooge in media.
The ultimate boss that
get
everyone
fired from
hates and has to be
CBS.
nice to.
That's the first thing I read this morning was like all the ratings and stuff are in, and like Bari Weiss's like remake of like CBS News has been a complete flop.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. All these Trump sycophants, they all end up getting burned, no matter how loyal. Especially if you're a woman, no matter how loyal you are and how far out of your way you go to represent the brand, you're gonna get burned. You're gonna get tossed aside and crumpled up like a piece of garbage and thrown away for the next prize. And she's the next one in line for that occurrence. So,
did you see what Joe Rogan said about Erica Kirk?
Oh God, what?
Like she has evil eyes. Like, yeah, she looks kind of like a demon. Like, or he like said she was like demonic.
True, that's a true arbiter of good and evil, Joe Rogan.
But I think it's just like kind of a very good barometer of like how that sect of like our populace is doing when like their tastemaker is speaking out against like the woman who is supposed to be their new queen of like hateful media. It seems like people don't like her, and it's like, yeah, you build a media empire to like, and I have big air quotes here, to like reach out to disenfranchised young white men, who hate women. You can't be a woman and take over and be like the face of that, because everyone that was like paying attention hates you. Like, what do you think? It just seems like very obviously a bad business move.
Yeah, I saw a video of Nick Fuentes on his stream saying that he missed Obama. He missed having an adult in the room, and he says that, and it immediately, it's like his stream, so it's like the little when people donate to his stream, it pops up, and as soon as he literally goes like, "Yeah, I miss Obama. I miss having an adult in the room," and then the little robot voice that comes up and is like, "Punished Nutsack donated $20." He is really regret. I saw another clip of him like a week ago that was like, you could tell he was getting so like all these like pathetic. Like he's realizing that all his fans are like literally the absolute worst
fucking losers.
On earth. And you could tell he's like coming to realize it, and he's just like going through the motions of being like, "Yeah, thanks for the donation." And he's like, the questions are like, "Should we kill all minorities?" And he's like, "Probably not, dude. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the donation." Like, well, this is what you've time to lay in the little nest that you've created for yourself.
Yeah, and his whole thing is that like he doesn't want to go to war, like, and that's why he's turning on Trump. And it's like, it just kind of like shows like how like, and like, you already know this, but like this is like proof of concept right in your face that like all these like weird little Trump media sycophants like Fuentes and like Charlie Kirk, may God rest his soul, and Tim Pool and the guys like that are just like the most spineless, dumbest, sniveling little fuck faces that have absolutely zero principle. And it's kind of amazing that like now he's convinced himself he's going to have to go to war in Iran and die. So like he's like acting out of fear and selfishness, and like you're kind of like, he's like, no, fuck Trump.
Speaking of
now that Trump affects me, I am anti-Trump.
Did you see Alex Jones was on Tim Pool's stream, and he was so like red-faced, incoherent, drunk on pills or something, and Tim Pool was like just trying to act like it was normal. Like you cannot understand what he's saying. Alex Jones just sitting there going like, yeah, and Tim Pool's like, yeah, totally. Like these people are just empty husks. But back to the NFL, I guess. Really, to wrap up, really, I mean, there's really not a ton happened this week. Some of the rule changes, most of them are pretty boring. The most notable thing about the rule changes that are proposed is what is not in it, which is the tush push. There's nothing that the tush push will survive. There's not the fight they won. It's over.
No one cares about player safety anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a fucking shame. Dumbasses. Just no, but
it's mostly just guys. It's mostly just like most of this stuff is usually pretty boring. It's just about like they can declare an onside kick at any point. You don't have to be losing anymore. Stuff about kickoff, like slightly changing kickoff stuff. But the one that I thought was interesting was for 2026 only, allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious misses by on-field officials that impact the game in the event of a work stoppage involving officials represented by the NFL Ref Association, because the refs have their own CBA and they are having trouble coming to an agreement, so we might have to do the replacement ref thing again. So that is kind of just like
do the robots. That's the one job AI should replace. Because it's not going to make an emotional decision. It's going to a computer is going to analyze something in real time that a way a human brain cannot, without bias, without flaw. That's the only time I'm on side of the AI.
You're still gonna need a human to ultimately approve decisions. You can't just hand it over completely to a robot. I mean, that's not coming anytime soon, I think.
Maybe you build a robot that looks like a man.
In NFL, I don't know. I think we might, if this is coming out and this is coming in the rule change things, I think we might see replacement refs for the first couple weeks of the season. Is what this stuff.
Didn't the World Baseball Classic used like the robot system to call balls and strikes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they really should do that in the MLB, huh?
I think they are. I think that was the preview for the season.
Okay, cool.
They're testing it this season, I think.
I'm kind of excited for baseball.
We'll see. We'll see for me.
It's just always fun, like the first 3 weeks of the season, and then like the end of the year when teams are like going for like those wild card spots, and then the playoffs are fun.
Right.
And like the All-Star game. I will watch the All-Star game and like the Home Run Derby still. That's like the only sports All-Star thing I'll watch anymore.
Yeah, because they can't. They don't. In baseball, you can't really. It's not like in basketball where they're like barely trying. Like they're still kind of trying the All-Star game, at least the pitchers are. I don't know.
And Max Scherzer every week you go out there and like throw 102 and should be grunting.
I think they still have the thing where the team that wins the league that wins the World Series gets home field advantage.
It's home field.
And yeah, which
interesting.
Is stupid, but it does still have real.
Yeah, well, they only did that in the first place because the All-Star game ended in a tie, right? And like that pissed people off.
Something like that.
Imagine being upset that an All-Star game ends in a tie. Like, who the fuck cares? Really? You're going to be upset about that?
Is there anything else? I think we might just have to have a extremely short episode this week. There's not really much.
I do want to say one thing.
What's that?
I'm very excited for my my U of A Wildcats marching into the Sweet 16.
Let's go.
Jaden Bradley is like second coming of Dame Lillard. He's like the most clutch basketball player I've ever seen, especially from the 3-point line. I think he's going to be like a top 10 NBA lottery pick if he just keeps his streak up and like they go to the Final Four. Very exciting stuff happening down there in Tucson, Arizona. It's where my wife is from. Her whole family, they're big U of A guys. Her grandpa is like the closest thing to a grandfather I've ever had. and he like doesn't really care about anybody else in the family. And like I remember I like told my in-laws like, yeah, like I gave Bill a big hug when we were leaving. And they were like, what? He hugged you? I was like, yeah. And he was like, his son, my wife's father, was like, I can't even remember the last time he hugged me. And I was like, I don't know. He just likes me. Like we're boys, and like I'm like the only one in the family he really likes.
Wow.
And he's a
Testament to your
huge
character.
he's a huge Wildcats guy. Big Lute Olson fan from back in the day. So I hope they go to the Final Four because I'm going to go down to Tucson and watch the games with them.
Nice. That's
So yeah,
exciting.
go Cats.
Go
Bear
Cats.
down, go Cats. I am now a lifelong University of Arizona fan. That's where I went to and did my undergrad now.
You decided?
Yeah, I decided that. I'm gonna trade in my OU degree and get that U of A degree. You can do that.
Mhm.
It just takes a little
Transferable.
fraud. But yeah, I'm excited. I think we got the Sweet 16 game tomorrow. Um, my U of A shirt came in the mail yesterday, so I can wear it.
Okay.
And big things happening. Big things happening for my Desert Cats, and I'm excited. Lifelong U of A basketball fan. I remember watching Chase Budinger play basketball for them. But if you really wanted a treat, you'd go watch him play volleyball. All right. So, yeah, let's go Cats. Luke Walton is innocent.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. I think that's all we have for you this week, really, on a short app during this
Yeah,
slow off-season time. We'll get more in draft stuff probably next week.
we're not going to like manufacture like
Yeah.
unimportant news, right? Like you see a lot of these big prestige sports media companies just like every other week. It's like not even every other week. It's like 2 days per week. There's an article that pops up. It's like things are heating up in the AJ Brown trade saga, and it's just like recycled quotes from like a guy that works in the equipment room who is like their source. And it's like they're just pushing a false narrative because they just need attention because like they've created this monster that has you know um become out of control, and so they have to keep up with it in this really pathetic way. So um yeah, they're just going to keep like writing articles about pointless shit and making pointless predictions that don't come true, and then they're never held accountable unless they're right. If they're right, they will go back to an article they released in June of whatever year and point to it about how they're the biggest football genius in the world. But for that one article, the 99 articles they write that prove to be pointless drivel, they're never held accountable to it. And I think that's a fucking shame. And so I think we do need to like establish some sort of like punitive court for sports writers because it would make things like let's make these folks tell the truth. How about that?
Sounds good to me. Well, folks, we'll have more lies and made-up nonsense for you next week. This is Tony Logan signing off. We love you.
Bye.